So 250 years ago, right now, the revolution was well underway. The American Revolution had been started. The Continental Congress was meeting in this building, Independence Hall. And one thing I've been doing every day is just checking letters that the Founding Fathers wrote back and forth to each other. So I figured I'd check today and see if I find anything interesting and share it with you. I've got my laptop right here. So I'm gonna be looking down and checking for letters. Well, hello YouTube. Today is July 11th. Let's see what we have. We have 7 letters or documents. We've got a couple from John Adams, or to John Adams and from John Adams to various people. Edward Dilley, Josiah Quincy, James Warren. And we've got general orders. We've got from Thomas Jefferson to the President of the Virginia Convention, and we've got 3 Pennsylvania delegates in Congress to the Lancaster County Committee. Now, I'm going to be honest, I am getting eaten alive by mosquitoes at the moment. I've already been bitten several times, so I may not stick around here for too long to read all these letters. But I'll put up with it. I'll read it for as long as I can tolerate it without it being too much of a distraction. All right, let's get going with general orders. General orders. Let's click in. Pearl, Guilford. Court-martial of Colonel William Prescott was president is dissolve. A general court-martial to be assembled at Cambridge as soon as possible to try such prisoners as shall be brought before them, all evidences and persons concerned to attend the court. The general understanding there is a bad custom prevailing. The general understanding, there is a bad custom prevailing of the non-commissioned officers and soldiers absenting themselves from guard under pretense of going for provisions. It is therefore ordered that all officers and soldiers bring their provisions to the guard they mount, and on no pretense quit their guard until it is regularly dismissed. Notwithstanding the orders of the Provincial Congress, some persons are so daring as to supply the soldiers with immoderate quantities of rum and other spirituous liquors. Any sutler, tavern keeper, or licensed innholder who shall presume after the date of this order to sell to any non-commissioned officer or soldier any spirituous liquor whatsoever without an order in writing from the captain of the company to which such non-commissioned officer and soldier belongs, he or they so offending may expect to be severely punished. Lieutenant Colonel Ward, President of the Court-Martial. All right, 2 footnotes. First, footnote, this order was repeated in the General Orders of 24th of July, 1775, because of a lack of full compliance with it. Footnote number 2, on 6th of July, the Massachusetts Provincial Congress, acting in response to a letter from Major General Nathaniel Greene, appointed a committee to study the matter of liquor sales to soldiers, and 2 days later, the following resolution was approved. Quote, the Congress having taken into consideration the difficulties and troubles which have arisen and daily are arising in our camps by reason of diverse evil-minded persons selling spirituous liquors, therefore resolved that if any licensed person shall, after the 15th instant, presume to sell any spirituous liquors to any soldier without a permit from the captain or commanding officer of the company he belongs to, specifying the quantity, he shall for the first offense forfeit his license, and for the second suffer such punishment as shall be inflicted on him or her by a court-martial. End quote. The next day, the Committee of Safety resolved, quote, whereas a number of soldiers in the American Army are from time to time observed to be much disguised with spirituous liquors, and should not some effectual measures be taken to put a stop to this disorder, not only the morals and health, but also the lives and liberties of this people will be endangered. Therefore, that it be, and it is hereby recommended to His Excellency General Washington that an order be issued to suppress retailers of spirituous liquors within and near the camps in such manner as to him may seem meet." End quote. Okay, next. Let's click into this first official paper, 3 Pennsylvania delegates to Congress. Okay, it's not so long. 3 Pennsylvania delegates in Congress to the Lancaster County Committee. July 11th, 1775. "We have received your communication about the rifle company to which Captain Smith is appointed. You mention that James Ross has raised men from whom a good company may be formed. We immediately laid this matter before Congress, which approved their enlistment. Please certify the officers as with the other company and have the best men available prepared with the utmost dispatch to follow Captain Smith, who we suppose will have marched before this reaches you. The Congress highly approves the generous bounty provided by the people of Lancaster County, signed by Franklin, George Ross, and James Wilson." Footnote number 8. "In the hand of George Ross." For the full text, see the letters, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Footnote number 9. On June 14th, Congress resolved that Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia should raise between them 10 companies of riflemen for the Continental service, to join the army before Boston as soon as possible. The next day, several Pennsylvania delegates sent a circular letter to 5 county committees urging them to comply. Lancaster was asked for a single company. It was recruited by Matthew Smith, a veteran of Bouquet's expedition, largely from Scots-Irish, and was one of the first to reach Cambridge. James Ross, George's son, undertook to raise a second, the bounty referred to, and Congress accepted it. Meanwhile, on June 25th, Pennsylvania's quota was increased by another 2 companies, and all those from the province were incorporated in a battalion. Footnote number 1, both are identified above in a note on a letter they signed July 3rd. Okay, next, let's take a look at let's just start at the top, from John Adams to James Warren. No, wait, actually, let's look at from Thomas Jefferson to the President of the Virginia Convention. That looks interesting. Very interesting. Let's see what this is about. Sir, Philadelphia, June 11, 1775. Sir, the continued sitting of Congress prevents us from attending our colony convention, but directed by a sense of duty, we transmit to the convention such determinations of the Congress as they have directed to be made public. The papers speak for themselves and require no comment from us. A petition to the king is already sent away, earnestly entreating the royal interposition to prevent the further progress of civil contention by redressing American grievances. But we are prevented from transmitting a copy of it because a public communication before it has been presented may be improper. The convention, we hope, will pardon us from venturing our sentiments on the following subjects, which we submit to with superior wisdom. The continuance and the extent of this conflict we consider as among the secrets of Providence, but we also reflect on the propriety of being prepared for the worst events, and, so far as human foresight can provide, to be guarded against probable evils at least. Military skill we are certainly not so well provided with as military violence opposed to us may render necessary. Will not this deficiency be supplied by sending at the public expense a few gentlemen of genius and spirit to the military school before Boston to learn that necessary art, which in these days of rapine, can only be relied upon for public safety. The present crisis is so full of danger and uncertainty and incertainty that opinions here are various. Some think a continued sitting of Congress necessary, whilst others are of opinion that an adjournment to the fall will answer as well. We conclude that our powers go not to the latter, but that a fall Congress will be indispensable, with adjoining powers given to your delegates that they may be prepared to meet contingencies. The convention will therefore see the propriety of proceeding to a new choice of delegates and be explicit about the time to which they choose to limit the continuance of their delegation. It is expected that at the next Congress, the delegates from the respective colonies come provided with an exact account of the number of people of all ages and sexes, including slaves. The convention will provide for this. It is with singular pleasure that we can congratulate you on the success with which Providence has been pleased to favor our righteous cause by giving success to the operations in defense of American liberty. We are, sir, your most humble servants, P. Henry Jr., Richard Henry Lee, Edmund Pendleton, Benjamin Harrison, and Thomas Jefferson. Here's an explanation. An official letter in Thomas Jefferson's hand and signed by all the Virginia delegates in Congress. The Virginia Convention. The Virginia Convention did not meet until 17th of July, but it was doubtless understood by everyone that Peyton Randolph would be elected president, as he was on the first day of the session. He is therefore the addressee of this letter, which was referred to the Committee of the Whole on 27th of July. The military school before Boston was apparently only a matter of discussion, not of action, though it went far enough for the Virginia Gazette, Purdy, to report on 28th of July, 1775, that, quote, and at the recommendation of the General Congress, we hear that 60 young gentlemen are to be immediately sent from this colony to the camp near Boston to serve as cadets in the army under General Washington, end quote. As for the adjournment of Congress and the, quote, and the new choice of delegates, Congress adjourned on 31st of July. All the delegates except R.H. Lee returned to take seats in the convention on 9th of August. And 2 days later, Lee, T.J., Thomas Jefferson, Harrison, and 4 new delegates were elected for a year's term in Congress. Okay, let's set this up so that the sun is not completely blocking your ability to see it. The mosquitoes are bad, but I'm gonna keep going. All right, now let's start at the top. From John Adams to James Warren. To James Warren, Philadelphia. I believe Hond means honored, maybe? Honored and Dr. Sir. I have the pleasure of enclosing you a declaration. Some call it a manifesto, and we might easily have occasion to debate of half a day whether it should be called a declaration or a manifesto. Our address to the people of Great Britain will find many admirers among the ladies and fine gentlemen, but it is not to my taste. Prettinesses, juvenilities, much less puerilities, become not a great assembly like this, the representative of a great people. July 23rd. We have voted 22,000 men for your army. If this is not enough to encounter every officer and soldier in the British Army, if they were to send them all from Great Britain and Ireland, I am mistaken. What will New England do with such floods of paper money? We shall get the continent nobly in our debt. We are striking off our paper bills in 9 different sorts, some of $20, some of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We shall be obliged to strike off 4 millions of dollars, I fear. Secret, as usual, our fast has been kept more strictly and devoutly than any Sunday was ever observed in this city. The Congress heard Deutsch in the morning and Dr. Ellison in the evening. Good sermons. By the way, do let our friend Adams's son be provided for as a surgeon. Footnote number 1. See Julian Boyd's penetrating analysis of the Declaration of Causes and Necessity for Taking Up Arms, in which he demonstrates that, contrary to the usual assumption, the Dickinson draft strengthened the language of Jefferson's draft and made the Declaration more, quote, inflammatory, end quote, in some of its points. John Adams thought that the Declaration might well be the basis for bills of attainder against members of the Congress. Footnote number 2. The Congress had authorized 2 million paper dollars in June, and an additional million was ordered struck off in July. By the end of 1775, 6 million were issued. Okay. Footnote number 3. For the resolution of a fast day, see John Adams' service in the Congress, 10th of May to 1st of August above. On 15th of July, the Congress voted to ask Reverend Jacob Duché to preach in the morning and Reverend Francis Allison to preach in the afternoon. For an interesting analysis of the implications of the fast resolution, see Perry Miller, quote, from the Covenant of to the Revival, end quote, in the Shaping of American Religion. Okay. Footnote number 4, Samuel Adams, Jr. was made a surgeon in the Army on or about 4th of August. Okay, next let us see the next two John Adams from Edward Dilly. London, July 11th, 1775. Dear Sir, every line from you gives me much satisfaction. My heart sympathizes with you in your present distress. I cannot write so fully as I could wish. May heaven bless, protect, and prosper you. I have sent you a few things per Captain Faulkner. Hope they will arrive safe and prove acceptable. Adieu, my dear sir, yours affectionately, E.D. Edward Dilly. The small parcel by the Paul, Captain Gordon, which you say is not come to hand, was sent to the care of Mr. Henry Brumfeld. Beg you will make inquiry about it. And there are the footnotes. Next, to John Adams from Josiah Quincy. Let's see, how long is this? Okay, this one's quite long, so let's save that one for last. And let's check out to John Adams from James Warren. Okay, this may be the last one we read, because I am getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. Watertown, July 11th, 1775. My dear sir, I wrote you several days ago and wrote in a hurry, expecting the General's Express would be along before I could finish. But he has been detained, and I am told will be on his journey this morning. I was much chagrined last evening when sitting under a tree by the bridge Fessenden, rode up from Philadelphia without a single letter for me. He says, oh, okay, I read that wrong. I was much chagrined last evening when sitting by a tree, under a tree by the bridge, Fessenden rode up from Philadelphia without a single letter for me. He says you complain that you have no letters. I have endeavored to do my part. I expected we should have rose before this, and I should have got a range over the fields before our election, but I begin to despair. One thing after another continually crowds upon us. The general thinks he should have more men. I am of the same opinion. How to get them is our difficulty. We are now raising 1,700 for the express purpose of guarding the sea coasts. The people are so engaged at this busy season that the militia, if called, would come with reluctance and tarry but a short time, just long enough to put the camp in confusion. What course we are to take in consequence of an application from the general, which now only detains us, I know not. I could wish to have seen more men from the southward. I always forgot to tell you I have seen your letter to Gary expressing Mr. Gadsden's opinion about fixing out armed vessels and setting up for a naval power. I thought it very happy to have set so great an authority confirming my own sentiments and having proposed in Congress just such a project, and beginning of the session borrowed the letter to support it. But yet I have not been able to effect it. Pickering and his politics, the want of faith and ardor in Gary, etc., and above all the want of powder has prevented it. The last is an objection, though I think it would be like planting corn. 10 very good going sloops from 10 to 16 guns, I am persuaded would clear our coasts. What would 40 such be to the continent? Such a determination might make a good figure on your journals. We are still not a word of news since my last. The troops were crossing the ferry yesterday in great numbers. Things will not remain long in this situation. I expect another action soon. God grant us success, I believe he will. I have engaged another friend to write to you. If it gives you pleasure, it will answer my end. I received it but last night from Braintree, where it was finished. The season here is hot and very dry. My regards to all inquiring friends. I assuredly yours, James Warren. Okay, footnote number 1, the Provincial Congress made provision for seacoast defense in a resolution of 28th of June. Footnote number 2, John Adams to Elbridge Gerry, 11th of June above. We read that, you can read it too. You can go back and listen to my reading of it on 11th of June. Footnote number 3, John Pickering, brother of Timothy, was a member of the Committee on Armed Vessels with Warren and Gerry. At the time of Warren's proposal, he opposed any such measure, but later, in a letter to Timothy, Pickering admitted that he might have been wrong. Footnote number 4, that is, crossing from Boston to Charlestown. Footnote number 5, by, quote, another friend, end quote, Warren may be referring to Mercy Otis Warren. She wrote from Watertown on 5th of July above, but she might have finished her letter in Braintree if, on returning from Watertown, she stopped by the Adams house, home. She had visited there on her way to Watertown earlier. In any case, her letter went by the same express as her husband's of 7th and 11th July, all three being acknowledged by John Adams on 23rd of July below. Okay, I'm going to stop there for now because my legs are getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. I may finish the last letter later, but if not, you can look it up yourself and give it a read. It looks quite long and interesting, so for now we'll leave it there, and I will see you tomorrow. My name is, give me a like and a subscribe if you liked this, and we'll pick it up tomorrow, July 12th. All right, bye.